planning and programming economic development through good governance. Today we are going to find a link between good governance and economic development. After today's lecture, you would be in a position to understand what is governance and how governance is an issue for promoting economic development of countries. The discussion will also state that it is the policy of the government which can either fail at the time of making the policy, that is, the policy is wrong, or it can fail at the implementation level. If the governance is not good, then policy fails at implementation level. We call it a policy good on papers but bad in action. So let us first of all discuss how governance leads to economic development and what are the parameters on which we will judge good governance. The International Monetary Fund, the World Bank and all financial institutions have advised all developing countries to formulate their policies and programs in such a way that they ultimately lead to wellness of people. The most important subject which is talked about in economic development is quality of life, and this quality of life has various indicators and it is the most often discussed topic today in economics, because ultimately all governments aim at providing a better way of living to its people than what they are enjoying today. The governance has to be judged on this basis alone. What type of life people are living today and what type of life they are going to get tomorrow, day after or later is the best judgment of good governance. Now let us discuss the parameters on which we will judge good governance. The good governance has basically 8 parameters. 1. It is consensus oriented. It actually means that any policy should be made in such a way that the policy which benefits people, they should also have been consulted. The policy maker has to know what people are thinking about. Every person cannot be consulted. That is there, because if we try to consult each and every member for whom we are making the policy, it's neither possible nor it is advisable. But it should also not happen that nobody is consulted. So people in general must be consulted. This is what we call consensus generation. People should feel that they have been consulted and their voices have been heard and included in policy making. Second, it is participatory. Participation can be of 2 types. One is direct participation, the other is participation through elected bodies. In direct participation, everybody votes, but in direct participation or participation through elected bodies, we elect people who represent us and they give their ideas to make the policy. The third point which I would like to emphasize, that good governance follows the rule of law. The rule of law has to be practiced equally for all. There has to be no discrimination on the basis of caste, color, creed, gender, region. And the law should be followed in such a fashion that people should feel that they have got justice. Normally we say justice delayed is justice denied. So the justice also has to be timely. It has to be less costly and it should have been seemed to be done. So this is the third parameter. The fourth parameter is effectiveness of governance. The policy which the government makes should be effective, and the effectiveness is judged by its results. Any policy which does not bring any result is fruitless. So howsoever the policy may be, if the results are not coming forward, the policy has failed. As we say, the taste of pudding is in eating. Similarly, in case of good governance, the results should show themselves, and these results have to be timely results. The fifth point is accountability. Now you can ask me, accountable to whom and accountable to what extent? So normally the answer would be that any public authority should be accountable to people in large, and all stakeholders are also to be included in this, and the extent of accountability is decided by the regulations of the office, like what is the accountability of district magistrate, what is the accountability of a minister, what is the accountability of prime minister. Everybody knows, they are known things, so that has to be respected. Next comes the point of transparency and information dissemination. Transparency actually would mean that whatever decisions are taken by the policymakers, people should be aware that these are the decisions taken. Many a time you will find that if we play hide and seek and people are not informed in time, then the good results are not to be expected. Transparency and information dissemination means right information at right time to right people. So three things I am saying: right information at right time to right people. The next point of good governance is that good governance is responsive to present generation and also to coming generations. You might have heard about sustainability and intra-generational equity. There also we say that any policy should not benefit the present generation only, but should also care for future generations. You and I may remain today, may not remain tomorrow, but nation remains. Therefore, we have to see to it that any policy program is also caring for coming generations. And finally, the eighth point is equitable and inclusiveness. This point suggests that all regions, all sections, all religions, all people should be made participatory in the process of governance. Nobody should be left alone. Beyond these 8 points which we have discussed, zero tolerance for corruption is also a point which I would like to mention. Nowadays, developing countries are being questioned on the issue of corruption. Corruption originates from misuse of official power by any authority. So if we talk about good governance, any public authority has to be free from unofficial use of power for personal gains. This is what is also known as the zero tolerance for corruption. Then we also talk about decentralization. The authorities of making decisions should be bestowed to different people. There has to be a hierarchy, which is also being practiced in micro planning. There are different tiers of governance, and every tier has to understand their do's and don'ts, their resources and their responsibilities. Then we can also talk about conflict resolution mechanism. People should be aware that if they have any grievance or any conflict, where should they go to get the redressal? We can call it grievance redressal mechanism also. So it should be in place, and the information of grievance redressal mechanism should be told to people in advance. Everybody has to know that this is where I can weep. This is the shoulder on which I can cry, because you can't cry on everybody's shoulder. So this is what we mean conflict resolution mechanism. And there is also one word which is also known as honesty in words and deeds. Whatever we promise, we should be in a position to deliver. Nowadays, it has become a fashion that you make long promises, but when it comes to their implementation, you don't fulfill even a single one. So if this happens, we will call it differences in words and action. What you are saying, you are not implementing yourself. Will we call it good governance? No. Good governance should mean that you promise what you can actually deliver. And if you cannot deliver, you should not promise. So these are the points which I would like to highlight while talking about the issue of good governance, because governance is not a subject of government only. Let us be very clear that governance and government are two different things. Governance actually means government as well as civic society, including landlords groups, including non-governmental organizations, including political parties, judiciary, executive. They all have to come together to show better results, because if one is efficient, the other is not efficient, you cannot possibly think of results. So the results will come when all stakeholders come together and follow these principles. Nowadays, different countries have talked about the concept of smart government. What is this smart? S for simple, M for measurable, A for accountable, R for responsible, and T for transparent. These are the terms which we use when we talk about smart governance. Do you remember our erstwhile kings used to go at nights hiding their real identity, and they used to roam around and would like to talk to different people, and they would like to have first-hand feel that the policy which they are following, what is the repercussion of these policies on general public. And if they thought that any policy is harming general public, they immediately used to rectify. So good governance does not mean that policies once made cannot be rectified. If it is tomorrow known that a policy is not good, then we have to make changes in those policies. We have to be flexible. We have to have tolerance to listen others' viewpoint also, because every time our viewpoint may not be the best viewpoint. So if you go this way, then results will come. Now to conclude, we will say that now the link between economic development and good governance is that if the governance is good, then policy programs will be good. If they are not good, they will be rectified, they will be reformed, and results will come forward. So this way, good governance is being emphasized by all countries, including India. Our state governments, our central government, even our local bodies have been briefed about the principles of good governance. This has been made mandatory on the part of world financial bodies, that they will help the countries only and only when they are convinced that the governance is good. So if governance is good, the results will be fruitful to you, me, and everybody. Let us hope that we in our lifetime see the result of good governance.